like it, sometimes you do end up embellishing it for sure.
And, another factor, too, on top of this, I think sometimes after they've been on the show, who's to say they haven't been abducted a few more times? And these aliens, they definitely would know. They could read your brain, know they was on the show talking about things. Maybe they're trying to realign their brains of what they're thinking and how they're thinking. Because over time, I've seen progression of abductees saying, man, this is the evil, worst thing that ever happened to me. I got PTSD to total about face. No, it's okay. I've come to realize, they really just want to help us and spread love, but they're not allowed to get involved. Well, if they're not allowed to get involved, that's contradicted because they're abducting you against your will if they're not allowed to get involved. Hello?
Yeah, that's the whole problem. And you've been doing the show long enough with me, James. You've heard some of this stuff. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. I do believe people are being abducted. I think people are not being returned. I believe there is cattle mutilation because I certainly have seen a lot of it. And I think there's human mutilation. We don't know what's going on. I do believe we're being visited. And I don't believe the majority of our vegetations coming down to our planet are here giving us love and orbs. And they're here to protect mankind because they sure in the hell haven't done a damn good job of any of it if they have.
No, it's got to be for substance for sure. If they need it so many times and over the same thing, it's got to be for something that we're not thinking about or thinking of, to be honest, That's the kicker right there. And we've went over this 1,000 times, taking someone's taking someone and, like you said, torturing them, or taking a cow and mutilating it, or taking a human and mutilating that, it's, and not treating them any different. For one right there, that thought process is definitely a problem. So,
no, I think some of this, guys, I think some of these mutilations like cattle are not doing it because they are taking stuff that they want. I think it's also to let people see it and say, this is what we can do. Think about that one.
I agree to that to a certain extent. I do. I don't think they do it so many times, though. But I definitely agree that that's sometimes for sure that's what they're doing.
Well, unless certain parts of cattle taste really good. I mean, how many times do you have to sit and mutilate cattle to figure out what they don't take the whole cow. They take only certain weird things from the cow, the eyes, all this stuff. Okay. But then they leave the rest. They drain all the blood. Why would they have to keep doing it for hundreds of years, thousands of years? That just doesn't make any logical sense. There's got to be some other motive behind it, which I'm not intelligent enough, unfortunately, to figure it out.
Well, here's the thing. We can only think about this with what we know with our mindset, not their mindset. And with our mindset, if you look at the facts, and I've looked at these facts a million times over, from the cattle mutilations over through the millennium, through abducting people through millennium, what would be the reasons to keep doing that? So they obviously would know what they need to know already. So if you look at it like that, one, maybe they like to eat us, maybe some parts of us are cattle or delicacies. Two, maybe they have to have our blood or certain things as a substance to maintain their existence in this plane on this earth while they're here. Because obviously, how long could they stay here at a certain time without having to have certain things maybe to allow them to stay here? These wouldn't make sense to why they're doing what they're doing. That doesn't mean they are. Also, here's another theory. Maybe they come here because, and I've said this before, they can look at us at like a zoo, like cattle. They can dissect us, bring their students here and practice, and then afterwards, like frogs. We dissect frogs. We eat frog legs also. These are things that will fit that category, but again, we can only think as humans think, not as they think. So we don't know. We can only guess or theorize at these things.
Now, question. Roswell. Did it really happen? Was it a weather balloon or was it a UFO?
Ryan?
It's a good question. Honestly, I can't really say. There's really, I don't know. To me, there's really not a lot of evidence for Roswell, and it wasn't really talked about. It was only talked about for a day or two, and then it was brushed over. The Aztec crash was talked about a lot when it happened in 1948, but there's too much military meddling, in it for me. And then you have that photo that just came out, that says it's a crash scene from Roswell. Well, there's no way for us to actually know that for sure. So, but my opinion on Roswell is, I think there needs to be a lot more UFO evidence for me to actually, stake a claim to it and say, yes, it definitely happened. But I definitely don't think it was a weather balloon, that's for sure. I definitely think it was something out of this world.
Well, I can tell you this. I seen pictures that was of that area, okay, that showed the crash site where it ended up, and it took out a lot of timber. Now, I don't know any weather balloon. Back then, it was made out of rubber, okay, and attached to a little device that could come down and crash and take out a couple 100 feet of trees. That part, and skid and create that. James, what do you think?
Well, honestly, I can remember back in the late 70s, early 80s when Stanton Friedman came out with this with Jesse Marcel, and I've been studying a lot about this, and I truly believe, I know these aren't hard facts, but everything I've read and researched, that, I do think something happened there. Matter of fact, I've come to the point, at this point so far, with everything I've read and researched, that not only did a craft land there, or crashed there, but I think it crashed purposely. I think they crashed it purposely to let us have it because as part of some kind of a deal maybe, and that was, for us to try to reverse engineer or maybe get something off of it as technological, and that's where I'm at right now. Now that could change, but I definitely think a craft landed there. I do think that the guy in charge, Jesse Marcel there, I believe, listen, here's the thing, he was part of what that was part of the nuclear bomb and stuff. So he's not going to mistake a craft for a weather balloon. There's no way that happened.
Well, go look at the weather balloons of the 50s. You can Google it. Okay, when the Air Force came out here a few years ago and tried to detune the whole Roswell thing, right? They showed a weather balloon. Yeah. Funny thing is, it was made out of Mylar. Duh, we didn't have Mylar back then.
Right.
And then they talked about crash dummies and all this stuff on a weather. Oh, come on.
They went way too far with that.
Well, they called that project, they said it was Project Mogul. Well, here's the problem with that. Project Mogul didn't even come out to 52 or 53. It was 6 years. So their timing was way off on that one. They didn't think that one out clear enough. So, there was definitely something happened there. And I can assure you that a Jesse Marcel did not make a mistake. I think he jumped forward without thinking, and then the brass had to come on and say, whoa, stop, this is part of, I think maybe they did on purpose to have technology. And here's the thing, if you got that, you sure don't want a Cold War enemy power to know you have that, or any other agents or spies even knowing you have that. Not at that time, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not saying Matt Brazel either was, fibbing or anything. Something definitely crashed there for sure. But, other than that, Nick Redfern had some pretty good ideas of what else it could be. But, there's not really too much evidence that supports all that either. But, other than that,
Well, here's another
interesting
thing
topic,
that
but
a lot of people don't talk about, Roswell. All around there, we had experimental radar set up. Radar just came out towards the end of World War II. They were still working on radar. They were experimenting. That whole area where Roswell was, they had radar there, experimental radar.
Yep.
And that it was only on certain hours of the day and then off, because they were trying to perfect it and get more range and understand how it worked and all that stuff. Could have that radar cause that crash to crash, because radar at that time, it was transmitting on a frequency completely different than what we do today. completely different frequency. So maybe that could have interfered with the craft's navigation set. I mean, there's all these other things when you look at it where it could have been possible. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Oh.
So you each got 2 minutes to round this all up here tonight, and then we're going to go take a break. The show on the internet side is going to end. On the radio side, it's going to continue for another hour. So anyway, each of you got 2 minutes to do UFOs really exist? I want your feedback.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Well, yeah, I definitely think UFOs exist. My big topic in UFO field is human mutilations and the screen memory part. Now, I'll go with the screen memory part. Like, let's think about this. So, screen memories, they're used to, make something pleasant. So, it's not horrible, and you can forget it easily. So, they have to understand emotion a little bit, and I think the Greys and the Nordics do, to be honest with you, to an extent. And I think that's why they use it for the most part. But other than that, the reptilians and stuff like that, they don't care. They don't care about that. And like with the human mutilations and the cattle mutilations and stuff like that, it's too sinister for me. I don't know. It's just all fascinating though. At the same time, it blows my mind. It really does. But yeah, I do think it's real. Obviously, it's definitely happening on this planet for sure. And who knows how many other planets it's happening on as well. And what me and Gary talked about at the beginning of this week, which I'll probably bring up next week, it seems like we're getting closer to something like that. So, yeah, I definitely think it's real for sure. And I just can't get enough of it.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
Well, that's why we talk about it a lot on the show. James, you got 2 minutes.
This has been going on for millennia, this stuff. They've been abducting people. Again, I think it's for they need substance while they're here. It's not because they're still learning about us. There's no way. They're way too advanced. They even come here to be messing around with nickel and dime DNA and doing testing. It's way above and beyond that. And they're coming here, and they're grabbing kids, sometimes 3-4 years old. They're grabbing adults. They're taking them against your will. This is negative overtones. And they're placing false memories. And this has been going on a long time. And it's going to continue to go on. Mm-hmm. And that's what's scary about this. It's never going to stop. The scary part is anything out there, I can have a defense for it. There's no defense against these people. They can freeze you. You can't move nothing but your eyeballs as you're passing 100 other naked people and being terrorized, putting on machines, being probed, and you're on the conveyor belt on your way to that table. Nothing you can do. You look over and you see another thing in a tube look at you. Yeah, these are all scary, true stories that will send chills up your spine. And this isn't going to end today. It's going to keep on going on. And people, if you're out there looking for UFOs, do not, for the love of God, flash any lights at them, because you're just saying, come get me.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That is
I've definitely
so
learned from that. That's for sure.
Oh, when I was a kid, I'll say it really fast. I was like 13 years old. My parents took me and a bunch of friends to an island, a campground. It was on an island. And ships would go by, fishing boats and stuff. And there was a buoy light out there. Well, we were 13 years old. We're naive. We said, hey, let's see if we can get a boat coming close to shore. So my friend was sitting there flashing his flashlight, high-powered flashlight, in timing to the buoy light.
Oh, boy.
He almost ran a fishing boat, a big one, onto the ground. And, boy, he couldn't sit down for a while. I couldn't sit down. And I think my other friend, Terry, couldn't sit down because, wow, we got it by our parents. But I can tell you this.
I've done that.
You shine a light up, a high-powered light up to something that you think, or a laser, you know what? Maybe you're asking to be taken. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
No.
Well, that's exactly what I do. I have both, and I've done it. And honestly, I've had those, like I've told you guys before, I've had those 2 orange orbs come over towards me. No joke. It was crazy. Matter of fact, it scared me so bad I literally ran inside.
Well, hey, guys, I got to wrap it up. Tomorrow, there is no show. I got a commitment. I'll put a replay up. We're back on Monday. We're actually had a guest that got sick, and he can't come on the show on Monday, so we're